Everyone expected a reaction from Remy Ma at the Bet Awards. An expression. A glance. Something. But instead, she did the one thing nobody was prepared for. She stayed completely silent. No side eye. No visible tension. No acknowledgement. And that silence instantly became the loudest moment of the night. Because when someone who's known for being outspoken suddenly shuts down on a stage this public, it's not accidental, it's intentional. Body language experts say silence, posture, and eye movement can reveal far more than words ever could. Hit the subscribe button. So today, we're breaking down why Remy Ma stayed silent at the Bet Awards, what her body language actually suggested in that moment, and why that quiet reaction changed how the entire situation was perceived, without her saying a single word. Before we break down Remy Ma's body language at the Bet Awards, it's important to understand one key thing. Silence is a form of communication. Especially when it happens in a highly public, high-pressure environment like an award show. In everyday situations, silence can mean uncertainty or discomfort. But in public appearances, especially for celebrities who are constantly media-trained, silence is often deliberate. Every movement, every expression, and every reaction is being watched, recorded, and analyzed in real time. That's why Remy Ma's silence stood out so sharply. Remy is known for being outspoken and expressive. She has never been someone who hides how she feels, whether in interviews, on social media, or in public disputes. So when someone with that personality suddenly becomes still, composed, and non-reactive, it signals intention rather than accident. Context matters here. By the time the Bet Awards took place, Remy was already at the center of intense public speculation. Her marriage, her personal life, and her emotional state were all being discussed openly online. She wasn't walking into that room unaware. She was walking into a situation where every camera angle mattered. From a psychological standpoint, people under scrutiny often default to one of two responses: escalation or restraint. Escalation creates immediate attention, but also long-term consequences. Restraint, on the other hand, minimizes risk, especially when the environment is designed to amplify reactions. Award shows are not private spaces. They are visual narratives. Where someone sits, who they acknowledge, how they react when the camera finds them. All of those details become part of the story. So when Remy Ma remained silent, avoided exaggerated expressions, and maintained a neutral posture, it suggested awareness rather than shock. She appeared grounded, not frozen. That distinction matters. A frozen reaction often looks tense or involuntary. A controlled reaction looks measured and intentional. Remy's body language fell into the second category. Her posture remained steady. She didn't lean forward or backward dramatically. She didn't display visible agitation like fidgeting or repeated movements. Those are common signs of emotional overload. Instead, her stillness suggested composure under pressure. This doesn't mean she wasn't feeling anything. It means she chose not to externalize those emotions in a moment where doing so would have been magnified beyond control. And that decision, whether conscious or instinctive, set the tone for how the entire moment would be interpreted. Because when someone stays silent in a situation where a reaction is expected, people don't see emptiness, they see meaning. And that's why this moment sparked so much discussion before a single word was ever spoken. When people talk about body language, they often focus on big reactions, eye rolls, dramatic gestures, or visible anger. But in high-pressure situations like the Bet Awards, the most revealing signals are often the smallest ones. Let's start with Remy Ma's facial expressions. Throughout the moment that went viral, her face remained largely neutral. There were no exaggerated smiles, no sudden frowns, and no sharp changes in expression. In body language analysis, This kind of consistency usually indicates emotional regulation rather than emotional absence. When someone is genuinely overwhelmed or shocked, their facial expressions tend to fluctuate. Micro-expressions appear, brief flashes of surprise, anger, or distress that are difficult to suppress. In Remy's case, those fluctuations were minimal. That suggests preparation. It suggests someone who expected tension and had already decided how they would present themselves if the cameras found them. Now let's look at posture. Remy remained upright and balanced in her seat. She didn't lean aggressively forward, which can signal confrontation, and she didn't collapse backward, which often indicates withdrawal or defeat. Her posture stayed centered, a common sign of self-control. Another detail many people overlooked was hand movement. Hands are one of the first places anxiety shows up. People fidget, clench, or repeatedly adjust their clothing when they are uncomfortable. In the viral clips, Remy's hands remained relatively still. That level of control suggests she was actively managing how much emotion she allowed to surface. Eye direction is also important. Rather than repeatedly looking toward Papoose or Clarissa, Remy kept her gaze neutral and forward. Avoiding prolonged eye contact in a public setting like this can be a conscious choice to prevent escalation. It removes the opportunity for the camera to capture a reaction that could be misinterpreted. Taken together, these signals point toward intentional restraint. This wasn't a freeze response. A freeze response often includes stiffness, shallow breathing, and visible tension in the jaw or shoulders. Remy's body language didn't show those signs. Instead, it showed steadiness. That steadiness is often misunderstood. To some viewers, it looked like indifference. To others, it looked like suppressed emotion. But from a body language perspective, it most closely aligns with controlled composure, choosing not to react, because reacting would give the moment more power. This is especially important in environments like award shows, where reactions are replayed endlessly. One raised eyebrow or tightened jaw can become a headline within minutes. By offering nothing visually dramatic, Remy limited what could be clipped, looped, and weaponized. And ironically, that restraint is exactly what made the moment so compelling. Because when someone who is expected to react doesn't, the audience leans in harder, searching for meaning in every still frame. That's what happened here. Remy's body language didn't escalate the situation, but it didn't neutralize it either. It created ambiguity. And ambiguity is what kept people watching, replaying, and debating the moment long after the show ended. What made Remy Ma's silence at the Bet Awards so powerful wasn't just the moment itself. It was how quickly that moment reshaped the narrative. In celebrity culture, perception moves faster than facts, and a single visual can override weeks of online discussion. Before the Bet Awards, the conversation around Remy was loud and chaotic. Accusations, rumors, and reactions dominated the narrative. Many people expected the awards show to deliver either confrontation or confirmation, some visible emotional response that would define the story. Instead, they got restraint. And that restraint disrupted expectations. When Remy stayed silent, she removed herself from the role many people had assigned her, the reactive, emotional figure at the center of the drama. Without an outburst or visible frustration, critics had nothing concrete to latch onto. At the same time, supporters interpreted her silence as dignity. This split interpretation is why the moment became so polarizing. Silence invites projection. People don't just observe it, they fill it with their own assumptions. Some saw strength. Others saw resignation. But almost everyone agreed on one thing: the moment felt significant. Another reason the silence carried so much weight was contrast. Clarissa Shields appeared calm and confident. Papoose appeared settled and composed. If Remy had reacted visibly, it would have reinforced a narrative of imbalance. In the end, Remy Ma's silence didn't answer questions. It changed which questions people were asking. Instead of wondering what she would say next, the conversation shifted to why she no longer needed to say anything at all. And sometimes, that's the loudest message a person can send. If you watched this whole breakdown, now I want your interpretation. After looking at the body language, posture, and silence, do you think Remy Ma's reaction at the Bet Awards was a sign of strength and self-control? Or did it reveal how deeply this situation affected her emotionally? Was that silence a strategic decision to avoid feeding the narrative? Or was it the moment she accepted that the story had moved on without her? And do you think staying quiet helped her public image? Or made the speculation even worse? Drop your thoughts in the comments, keep it respectful. I read them all. And if you want more deep dive breakdowns like this, where we analyze what really happens beyond the headlines, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and check out the next story on your screen.